Yes, we can see your slide.
Okay. All right. So yes, one of the things I want to talk about, as I start off by saying, was innovation, leadership, creativity. Those are the things that really excite me, right? And in this particular instance, we want to apply those tools to media. So what I want you all to do is pay particular attention to that slide that you see right there, the bottom question. And as we go through the presentation today, I want you all to continue thinking about how can entrepreneurs and journalists use the tools of leadership and innovation to impact change in the Nigerian media environment. So before I get started, let me just tell you a little bit about me, right? So I'm a deputy executive director of a contracting center here in Orlando, Florida. So what we do, we write multi-billion-dollar contracts for technology projects, whether we're building simulators or if we're putting on training events or trying to train Army soldiers, Air Force soldiers, people from the DoD. Now, what I also do is I also write books. I write on leadership, innovation, technology. I have a book out called The Idea Journal, where I talk about the helping you unleash your urge to create, because I'm all about helping leaders unleash their urge to create. My doctorate was in focus on the business administration with a focus in strategy and innovation. So you sort of see the themes there. I wanted to make sure that there's a tie-in between what I've done in my career, the leading organizations, small to large organizations, and also creating technology projects in support of troops. Can you guys hear me well? Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yes, go
Okay.
ahead.
Okay. Got it. So
Yes, we can
right
hear
here.
you.
Okay. Good. So here's the agenda. So what we'll do here, we'll talk about challenges in media. We'll talk about fake news. We'll talk about what the impact is on the media. We'll talk a little bit about leadership and social media. We'll also go into some of the challenges within media that leaders like yourselves need to be focused on, and then we'll talk about some growth opportunities in media and entertainment based upon some of the research I conducted. Now, when we get down to leadership and innovation, not only will we talk about those subtopics in detail, but I also have, since this is a workshop, I also have some practical exercises for you. So I hope you have some pen and paper. I'm gonna challenge you to do 3 exercises for me that'll help you as you start your business or as you write copy, whatever it is you're doing. These exercises will help you out, and then we'll conclude and see if you have any questions. Okay. All right. Now, what I want to do, I'll start off with a quote. So, Mr. Richard Florida wrote a book called "The Rise of the Creative Class," and one of the quotes he brought up was, "Creative industry, meaning books, art, film, radio, television, will be every day more essential for the economic well-being." He believes that human creativity is the last economic resource that neither can be exhausted nor extinguished. So what he's saying there is that creativity, with AI, with blockchain, with big data, data analytics, with intelligent agents and all these new tools that's coming out, there's always going to be a human behind them. So the last vestige of safety we have as humans is to make sure that we keep on cultivating our creativity, to make sure we keep on cultivating our ability to innovate, to create new ideas, to be able to look into the future and plan and strategize on how we want to take an organization from one place to another, or how we want to, what message do we need to create to influence certain audiences, what books do we want to write, what art do we want to create to inspire people or to send a message. film, radio, whatever medium you're using, the only thing that's going to separate us from all the technology is our ability to create, to be creative, right? So I want you to keep that in mind. Creativity, and oh, by the way, not only is it's a inherently human trait for you to be creative, it's also the thing that you can build economic strength off of. You can sell your creativity. You can collaborate creatively to help build someone else's project. You can do all these different things with creativity, and we're going to talk about some of those. In the instance of media, we're talking about content, right? So one of the exercises I'm going to talk to you about is how do you come up with ideas for content, right? What type of content do you want to make to influence your audience, to influence government officials, to influence your organization? That's where the creative aspect comes in, where it says, hey, this is how, or this is the thing you use, this is the structure to create the thing that is within your heart. Okay. All right, so let's talk about some of the challenges in media. I don't have to tell this audience, I'm sure you guys know already, social media has disrupted traditional media. Before we had, particularly in the US, we had four or five major networks, and they controlled all information coming out to the population. On one note that was good, on the other notes it was bad, because it was good because you only have 4 or 5 channels, so you kind of knew, hey, I'm gonna watch CBS, I'm gonna watch ABC, I'm gonna watch NBC. However, with the advent of social media and the internet and all these different tools, Web 3.0, all the tools out there, what's happened is the traditional media has disrupted, and they've had to figure out how they're going to put their information, their products and services, information, product, service, onto social media and all other media outlets we have right now. So it was disrupted because now individual people, organizations, weren't captive to 4 or 5 networks. Now you can go on your smartphone, or you can go to the web, you can go to any outlet or screen and get any information you want through Google, through going on social media, Facebook, going on Twitter or X now, going to one of those platforms. And they have TikTok, they have become the new media, right? And so what that means is that's changed how people interact with digital technology. It's transformed people, how we engage with information. It transformed how we consume information as well. So I can probably ask the audience there, how many screens do you have, right? So, I have 4 screens here in front of me right now, 4, a laptop and 2 monitors. I have my phone here, so that's 5 screens. I'm sorry, I have 3 phones in here, and then I have an iPad to my right. So that's a total of 7 screens that I have. My question is, how many screens do you have? How many ways do you engage information? How many ways do you consume information, right? And as entrepreneurs, as journalists, what I would be, as you listen to this, try to apply it back to yourself. Try to apply it back to your situation. If you're an entrepreneur, as I'm asking you, as we're going through the presentation, think about how you are engaging or you are using information that I'm giving you to maybe solve a problem that you're facing or think through a problem you're facing. Because in this instance, one of the things I would tell you is, as a journalist or as an entrepreneur, you're trying to figure out how to get more eyeballs on your information, how many get more people to your products, to use your products. You want to figure out how to get more people engaged with your marketing material. You want to help people consume your information, right? So the question would be, what channels are you using to get to people so they can engage and they can consume your information? I would think about that. If you go down to the next point, information is flooding all media channels, whether it's television, radio, satellite radio, internet radio, whether it's through the social media platforms. Now, there's a negative to all this information as well. Misinformation, disinformation. So now, you know, a lot of people think that disinformation and misinformation are the same thing, but they're not. So if you think about disinformation, you're thinking about what's inaccurate, false information, misleading information, but it could have been done unintentionally. When you get down to disinformation, it's false, inaccurate information that was created intentionally to influence somebody or some people or people, right? So misinformation and disinformation are two different things. One is could be, you know, just happen by mistake. The other is intentional, and if somebody's intentionally trying to mislead you, right? So, you know, watch out for those two issues. Fake news. You know, here in the United States, I think we might have invented fake news over here, but I'm sure that, you know, we're not alone here. I'm sure that you know, in all other countries, there's news put out that may not necessarily be true, right? The key is to being able to separate what's real and what's not. Alternative facts. Again, those facts, that information that's contrary to what the actual facts are. Made up, created, fabricated, things like that. So all this information, true information, accurate information, all this is flooding all media channels, and customers, consumers, they have to be very aware of what they're consuming. Now, does that mean they are? No, not necessarily. But as leaders in the media space, we have to make sure that what we're putting out is real, accurate, true information, because, you know, the first time that a consumer figures out that you're not, or your platform is putting out bad information, you lose credibility, your reputation goes down, and you could be held liable depending on what the laws are in Nigeria. Here in the United States, if you put out bad information that cause harm, you literally could be sued. You could be taken to court and sued and potentially found liable for spreading bad information. Okay, so if you look at that banner at the bottom, leaders 30, 40, 50 years ago, 100 years ago, they didn't have to. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, your slide, you can't see it. Just the first slide. So you need to move the cursor.
Oh, it's yeah, I'm on slide 5 now.
So we're just on slide 1 here.
Oh, yes, I'm on slide 5. Okay. Yeah, so you don't see it changing on the screen?
Yes, you're not changing the slide.
Yeah, no, I'm changing it, but it's just not changing on the screen. Okay, let me try that again. Okay, here, I'll share again. Okay. Okay, what slide do you see now?
Just the same slide.
Okay, did the slide change now?
It hasn't changed.
Okay, I'm changing slides over here. Okay, let me see here. All right. Okay, let me go to a different screen. Okay, let me see here. Maybe this is the right screen here. Okay, do you all see that slide right there?
This slide 2. Agenda now.
Okay.
Good.
Okay.
Yes, challenges in the media landscape.
Okay. Wow. Okay, got it. My mistake, guys. Hey, so there was the agenda. I'll go through these pretty quickly. But I was telling you about the quote that's on the screen right now. And then so I'll give you a chance to read that since you didn't see it. I was talking about the Richard Florida, the book that he wrote about creative industries and how creativity is the one thing that is going to separate us from all the technology that's going on in the future. Okay. So, I just finished talking about the challenges in the media landscape. So, social media, digital technology. I was talking about engaging with information. I was talking about consuming information as well. And then I talked about the different misinformation, disinformation, as well as fake news and alternative facts. So I literally was on this slide. So I'm glad you told me that you weren't seeing the slide. So I appreciate that. Now, at the bottom here, what I was saying was earlier leaders, if you go back 40, 50 years, before the 1970s, they didn't have to deal with all this, right? They had newspapers, they had the evening news, they had radio, they had the word of mouth. That's how they got their information. Well, there's so many avenues, excuse me, to get information spread these days that it's mind boggling. So that's why we have leaders. That's why we're here, right? To help our organizations make sense of what people see and how we respond to the uncertainty. That's why leaders here, right? That's why all you guys in that room right now, you want to understand what is it that you can do to help your organization understand how to operate in this media landscape. So I'm going to move on to the next slide right here. So I wanted to talk about fake news for a minute, right? So one of the professors at the Harvard Kennedy School talked to us about how fake news travels faster and further than true news. So let that sink in for a minute. If you have fake news, now keep in mind, untrue, inaccurate, intentionally inaccurate, it travels faster and further than accurate news. So it's something to be said about that, right? So that means that people are attracted to the sensational fake news and less so attracted to the true factual news. Interesting point. Now, here's another note. Fake news is retweeted 70% more than fact news or accurate news. So let's say you get some sensational bit of news. It's unbelievable. People will retweet that information faster than they will fact that's been vetted, been proven accurate. They will retweet the inaccurate information first, right? So or faster. 3 out of 4 times they'll retweet that information faster. So I thought that was interesting. Now here's another fact about fake news. How fast does news reach 1,000 people? Well, fake news reaches 1,000 people 6 times faster, right? Accurate news is actually 6 times slower. So you gotta wonder why that is, right? And then again, I want you to continue going back to your space as a leader and understand how does it impact your organization, right? What you really want to make sure you do when you're operating in this space is to make sure that what you put out is checked, double checked, triple checked, and there's a vetting process before you put information out, right? Because again, like I said earlier, you don't want to be the target of being accused of putting out bad information or inaccurate information. You want to make sure to the best of your ability the information you put out is 100% accurate, right? Now, do we make mistakes? Yes. And I think the public will forgive you for those mistakes as long as you own up to those mistakes pretty quickly, right? It's those who don't own up to the mistakes or who try to hide or cover things up is when you get in trouble, right? So just keep that in mind. This is a bad stat, and people like sensational news and out of the world type news, but there is still space for people who are being accurate, telling real information, telling people what they need to hear when they need to hear it, right? So that's just something to know. But I thought it was interesting that fake news travels faster than real news. Okay, so let's go on to this slide. So the media. So you see some of the news outlets there: BBC, CNN, Fox News, right? It begs the question: who is the media? When you hear somebody say, oh, the media did this, the media did that, who is the media? I would tell you that from my perspective, the media is us now. So, take your finger and point at yourself, right? You're part of the media these days, not only because you're in the media business or you're in media entertainment, but on each one of those 7 screens, that you have the ability. I'm holding up my phone now. Uh, on each one of those screens, you have the ability to go online and make news, right? You happen to see something or you want to say something, you can make news right where you stand. So the media is no longer CNN, BBC, Fox News, right? They're the traditional media, right? That's the media we're used to. But I would submit that we're all part of the media now, just because of these things called smartphones and these things called, chat rooms and Snapchat and Twitter or X, Facebook, all the major platforms. We're all newsmakers now, right? Just the local person who grabs their video camera, takes a video, uploads it to YouTube, the video goes viral. All of a sudden, they become a newsmaker. They become a viral trend, right? So, so we go on to say is that one, capitalize, all caps, authoritative source does not exist anymore, right? Just there's no one source of information anymore. We're all sources and we all have access to share the information real time. So that's another way of thinking about it, right? So if you look at that, my next point right there, where I say each person can design their own information streams, that's what I'm going back to. Now, not only as a consumer, I can, control what's coming in to me, but also as an entrepreneur, as a journalist, I can feed the media. I can control. I can shape what's going on in the media. So I got the little call out where it says opportunity. Well, the opportunity is you figuring out what it is. What's your message? What is it? Is it that you want the world to know about your business, your story, your narrative? What do you want them to know? So that's what the opportunity is. So what I want you all to do while you're sitting there, think about, what it is, what's that idea that you have in your head right now, and how do you want to get that out into the world? And I'm going to show you a process at the end here that'll help you do that. Okay. All right. So Miss Nancy Gibbs, she's responsible for a lot of the quotes that you'll see today. But look at this quote right here. I thought this was pretty fascinating. The single biggest global policy challenge of our lifetime is the ability to regulate social media. I wonder how many there in the room there agree with that statement. I wonder how many. I can't see you guys, but I wonder how many agree with that statement. That the single biggest global policy. So I agree with that statement, and all you have to do is look back to 2020 in the U.S. elections and see why I would agree, or see things that happen like the uprising in the Middle East, or understanding what's going on in Ukraine right now, or over in the Pacific, right? Social media can be great because it can allow family to let know what's going on, or give people updates, give people real time understanding of floods, hurricanes, tsunamis, things like that. But social media also can be the initiator of mob violence. It could be the initiator of a number of things that may not necessarily be necessary, right? So I think all countries are going to have to figure out how they will regulate social media. Because if they don't, if you all see what's going on here in the U.S. with Facebook and Twitter or X, and you see what's happening, there's this tug of war. Okay, great. I can see you guys now. So there's a tug of war between, First Amendment, freedom of speech, or controlling speech. So the struggle is violent speech coverable by the First Amendment? Some people say yes, some people say no, right? But if that violent speech causes people to go out and commit acts of, murder or things like that, then we have a problem. So we as the U.S., Nigeria, you as the country of Nigeria, you have to figure out how much you want to regulate social media. And oh, by the way, it's going to be it probably already is, but I'll submit that it's going to be the biggest challenge of our lifetime, because social media has spread so far, so fast, and influences so many. Our kids have grown up on social media, so that's all they know. So if that's all they know, you can suspect that that's what they're going to see in the future. So we have to figure out what the right balance is between regulating and with it being free flowing. That's a challenge that we all as leaders have to think about. So if I was there in person, what I would do is I would it'd be really interesting to figure out how many in the room there actually work in the space for the government where you maybe work on policy objectives related to social media. That would be interesting to see what your country is doing related to that. But I agree with Ms. Gibbs. This is going to be huge because of the terrorist threats, the nationalism, all the different things that's happening around the world, and they're using social media as a tool to spread the word. Okay, so we have to figure that out. All right, let me keep going here. So social media and leadership, right? So now I'm going to start tying some things in related to leadership. Now, what I wrote here, I wanted to take the perspective of is, a leader. Let's say you're a middle or junior leader, you're a senior leader, and you're trying to figure out whether I should or shouldn't pursue social media. Well, there's some obvious opportunities and some obvious threats here. So let's go to the opportunities, right? The good things. If you, as a leader, if you figure out how to use, whether you get a coach or you get somebody that shows you how to use social media correctly, you can build trust, and you can appear, and not just appear, but be more transparent, right? To your organization, to all your constituencies outside your organization. Transparency is the key, because the more transparency you have, the more trust you build, right? And that's what you want. You want people to trust what you say. When you say it, you want people to say, yes, that organization said it. Their track record is of trust. Their CEO or their chief operations officer, they're on social media talking to us all the time. We have trust. We can trust what they say. Next, becoming thought leaders. How many in the room right now have raised by raising hands? I can see you all. How many of you all are thought leaders in your industry in Nigeria? Any thought leaders in the room? Okay, I see one hand. Okay, I see one hand. Okay, good. So thought leadership is a new buzzword, right? So if you think about thought leadership, it's really identifying a space where you become the go-to person for that particular topic. Like, so for example, since I write about leadership, I write about innovation, I write about creativity, I would be a thought leader in those areas, right? But you just can't say that you're a thought leader, right? There should be some data to back that up. You should have books written. You should speak at conferences. You should have articles written, things like that. That's what actually establishes your thought leadership, because you're actually adding or contributing to the knowledge base out in the world. You're creating knowledge. That's what thought leadership is. And you helping people navigate the current terrain they're in. So I would say, hey, being on social media for a leader, you can become a thought leader based upon how you're helping people understand the media landscape, understand entrepreneurship, leadership, right? And then last thing, as a leader, you're always interested in understanding the feedback, right? You're always interested in getting insight from your customers and constituents. You want to hear what they have to say, because sometimes what they have to say will help you get ahead of, anticipate the next trend or anticipate the move. If you're the next move, if you're on social media and you're posting every day on X or posting on Facebook or LinkedIn or one of the other platforms, TikTok, Snap, whatever platform you're on, if you're out there doing that, you'll get engagement out of other people, and then they may share information that'll help you understand what the next trend is, and you can get ahead of it as a leader. right? A leader is always learning, always trying to get new facts, always trying to get new information to figure out how to position their organization. And we'll talk about that a little bit here. Okay, threats. So, what's the opportunity cost of not building a community? If you're not on social media and you're not building a community, that means you don't have engagement. That means you lack trust, or you may not have the trust of your constituents and your customer base, right? What are the opportunity costs? What happens if you decide not to be on social media? What happens if you decide not to pursue building a community? Building a community is important, right? Your own tribe. Has everybody heard of the tribe, having a tribe of followers? Those who are aligned with your thoughts, aligned with your thinking, who help you build up what it is that you're seeking to do. So the opportunity cost, a threat. If you do not build a community, you will be left behind and you'll be missing out on those insights and the things that you need to do to be successful. Okay, another threat, staying ahead of negative news. If you do not have a social media presence, how are you going to find out when the last time you had a bad customer experience from one of your customers? Because what's happening now, somebody goes and take a flight on Delta Airlines. If they have a bad experience in the baggage claim, they're going to turn to Facebook, or they're going to turn to Twitter or X and put their bad review on there. Well, the companies that are doing well, they have people monitoring those channels now. So when a bad review comes out, they address it. And then what do? They turn right back around and let people know, hey, yep, I'm sorry you had a bad experience. This is what we did to fix it. Come back again. Here's a few flight ticket to to your place of choice, right? So those companies that are smart about it, they're engaging to try to stay ahead of and anticipate negative news so it does not impact their brand positioning. And then the final thing I'd say, a threat or weakness, as a leader, your real role is setting strategy for your company or for your organization. You're really thinking about, hey, where are we going to be 3, 5, 10 years from now? If you don't have a social media strategy, what platforms you're going to post on, what your message is, what branding do you want on that social media platform? If you're not thinking about those things, then if I were you, I would hire a brand specialist, social media management specialist to help you figure out what your branding and your message is going to be. Because again, people are looking for your information. If they can't find you on social media, that's one less way they're going to be able to find you. Okay. All right. So let's move forward here. Now, so we talked about a few things, right? So I did a bunch of research on in various journals and across the internet, and a number of things stood out to me about the Nigerian media space as far as challenges, right? Copyright and intellectual property violations seems to be a problem. By show of hands, how much of a problem is copyright and IP violations? Has anybody experienced that? Okay, I see one hand. Okay, yep. Okay, I see one hand. Yep. Okay, good. All right. So I'm not sure what happened there, but I would tell you, this is not just a problem in Nigeria. It's a problem for the United States. It's a problem for every country out there, and you tend to see it in things like books, software, things that are easily changeable, easily sold one-to-one. And what's happening is, people are making bootleg copies, or they're copying duplicates of software and they're selling them, and somehow they're getting codes of software and selling cheap versions of software. Or people are taking your intellectual property from what you've written, articles you've written, or magazine articles, or things like papers you've written, and they've taken that and they're using it to profit themselves when you should be getting credit for it, right? So that's one of the things that I see as a challenge. Weak judicial institutions. Now, here's another point here related to the first one, that if you don't have a strong judiciary, what happens is that, first of all, you don't have anybody protecting your IP and your copyrights. Secondly, you don't have a judiciary that'll back you up to enforce your copyrights, which means less people will want to create in your country, right? Because if you don't have any, one of the things that's great about the United States, right? There's a very, very structured copyright, patent, trademark process. And everybody knows if you use my IP or use my copyright without my permission, I can take you to court, receive some damages potentially, right? So whether you go to the Pacific, whether you go to South Central America, wherever you go, Africa, Europe, the countries where there are strong judicial systems and strong backing of copyrights is they have high entrepreneurial rates, because what happens is the entrepreneurs know that their property rights and their IP will be protected. So that's that tie in there, right? Entrepreneurs are not afraid to create because they know their IP and their copyrights will be protected, right? So that would be one thing I would definitely focus on. Victimization of journalists by political leaders, that definitely happens. We've seen that here in the U.S. We've seen it around the world, right? So that's got to stop. It's absolutely got to stop. Government agency overreach. So let me hit on that point right there. Government agency overreach. Understand that any government agency impacting the business environment, impacting entrepreneurs, that creates uncertainty. And what happens in uncertainty? When there's an uncertain environment, people tend to fold their hands and sit down and wait till the situation is resolved, right? So if you run into any uncertainty, that's normally going to lead to sort of stasis. People are just going to stop and wait till things calm down. So our job is to make sure we resolve uncertain, move from uncertainty to certainty, to where you can talk in a manner of, hey, this is the facts, this is what we're doing, this is how we're proceeding forward, right? And whether that's in the business environment, whether it's the government environment, the key is to be clear and to make sure everybody understands the left and right parameters and the space in which you're operating in. Because any uncertainty, people are not going to pursue opportunities because they want to wait and see how things shake out. That's human nature. Stakeholder reputation, credibility, predictability. So I mentioned some of that earlier when I was talking about disinformation, fake news, things like that, right? It's of utmost importance that media entrepreneurs, journalists, writers, authors, those people who do those creative projects, that you establish your credibility and you protect it, right? Because you really only have one chance for people to see that you're untrustworthy, that you're not accurate, that you're putting out information that's lacking in quality. People will write you off really quickly if they see that, if that's your way of operating. So I would say, just make sure you're watching the quality, because whatever you put out, it represents you, right? Like this presentation, right? It represents me. I want to make sure that you guys get the value for your time spent and your effort of sitting down, listening to me, right? So that's what this is about. I want to make sure you get quality. So going on a few contractual issues, poor pay, right? So, in some areas, right, journalists are not necessarily paid as where they should for the value they provide. Same for, the media companies based upon their employees. Obviously, the pay is based upon the market and things like that, but that would be something to look at as well. Effective use of social media, we talked about that. Infrastructure, power supply problems. Now, I was surprised to see that the venues there in Nigeria, there may not be a lot of them to put on major productions and things like that. So that may be an entrepreneurial opportunity. One of the entrepreneurs in there, one of the data points I found was that there are not a lot of venues there for music productions. Well, maybe that's something you look at doing, building a stadium or a theater or something to allow more artists to perform, right? That's just someone, we'll go through that here shortly, right? But that was just something that came to me. Limited performance venues, right? Power supply problems. I'm not sure what the power supply problems are, but I assume that maybe just spread over distance and getting power to everybody in the country. I assume that's part of the problem, but that affects your ability to operate. Obviously, as business people, as journalists, being able to get from one place to another, road networks, things like that. So obviously, that's something we got to work on because that's really the foundation. The infrastructure is the foundation of everything else you do. Okay. All right, let me move on here. I think I'm doing pretty good on time. Growth opportunities in media. So I just wanted to find out what the opportunity space was in Nigeria, right? So I was really fascinated to see that that the entertainment industry, media and entertainment is the fastest growing creative industries in the world. That is amazing, right? 2.3% to GDP, 660 million in 2021. It projected to increase export revenue to over $1 billion. That's exciting. And oh, by the way, everybody in that room, if you're in the media and the entertainment space, this is nothing but opportunity right here. It's anywhere you get growth, there's opportunity, right? Television and video experiments expect to earn 700 million in 2023. Wow, that's awesome. Nigeria is globally recognized in film, including script writing, directing, sound, acting, cinematography, makeup, and editing. Okay, so again, opportunity. Why wouldn't you start a business in one of those? Why wouldn't you start a business in sound or script writing? You know, bring a bunch of script writers together and start a business doing that. Or if you're interested in the media, maybe you go into cinematography. Maybe you figure out how to bring some of what Disney. I live in Orlando, by the way, so I'm right down the street from Disney World. So maybe you figure out how to do some of what Disney is doing over there in Nigeria. Maybe you start the Nigeria's version of Disney, right? So I want to help you think bigger than what you may have already have. It's guys, Walt Disney started with a mouse. Walt Disney started with a mouse. If he can start with a mouse, you can start with just about anything out there. So think about that. Nollywood, second most prolific film industry in the world, annual output of 2,500 movies. I actually saw a Nigerian movie maybe like a year ago. It was pretty good. Music industry contributed to over 8 billion in 2021. Spotify is expanding in Nigeria. I was happy to know that Netflix, Amazon, Inoko or Iroko TV and Star Times all expanding their presence there in Nigeria. And I'm sure this information is probably a few months to a year old. So I'm sure there's been other things. But think about the opportunity for partnerships of these companies that want to get to those young folks in Nigeria. Because the other thing I saw is that there are a lot of young Nigerians. That Nigerian has the largest youngest. I didn't see what the age limit was, but the largest young population, one of the largest in the world. So that spells opportunity for big companies. They want to get to those young people, right? So why don't you all take advantage of that? Figure out how to get the young people's information, figure out how you can get to them. And then what you can do, you can turn around and sell it to one of these big American, German, Japanese companies that come over there, right? There's all kind of opportunity that I found just by looking at research on the internet, talking about the number of youth in Nigeria, how social media and entertainment is exploding, things like that. Okay, so let me move forward here. Leadership. Now, so here's where I get down to some of the things specifically focused on leadership, right? Excuse me, how much time do I have? Because I want to make sure that I get to the information I want to get to.
10
Got
minutes
about
more.
20 minutes? Okay, cool. All right, excellent.
10.
10 more? Okay, cool. All right, thank you. All right, so I'm gonna push through these pretty quickly, right? So leadership. Now, what I want to impart to you, that you need to be thinking big picture. So big to small. First of all, you need to understand what your vision is for your company, for yourself as an individual. Where do you see yourself next year? Where do you see yourself in 3 years? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? And oh, by the way, what's your purpose? What are you trying to accomplish? What do you want to accomplish? And oh, by the way, where do you want to accomplish that? So that all helps in establishing your vision about where you see yourself in a few years. Do you see yourself starting off with a smaller company and then maybe on social media, then branching out to maybe maybe doing consulting, and then maybe creating products? What is your vision about what it is you want to do? So you really have to think about that. And where do you want to do it at? Is it going to be a local within your city? Are you going to do it regionally? Are you going to do it nationally? Or you know globally on the internet? Where are you going to do it? So you take those elements and you figure out, you know, you ask the five W's, right? You know, what, why, where. Obviously, you'll get to how at some point, right? You know how you do it, but that'll come here a little bit later. Now, resources. What resources do you already have? Okay, you want to get into social media, you want to get into writing. Well, to write, you only need a laptop and and some electricity and access to the internet, right? Or you got pen and paper. So, what tools do you have to do what it is that you want to do? And oh, by the way, what resources do you need? So if you can identify that, that'll help you at least understand what I have, what I need, and where my gaps are. And then you can start understanding who you can reach out to help you. Strategy, short term, long term. When I talk about strategy, I'm talking about the things, your plan that says, okay, from over the next year, I'm going to accomplish this big goal. And this is how I'm going to get there. This is what I'm gonna do first. This is what I'm gonna do second. This is what I'm gonna do third, fourth, and fifth. So I'm gonna take you through exercise here that'll get you there. That helps you understand that. What about growth? How much do you think you can grow? Right? Can you grow? Is the market you're going in a growth market? Is there some room for it to grow, or is it stagnant? It's not going anywhere. Like old media, that's stagnant. New media, there's nothing but growth in new media. Competition. How many competitors out there? Right? Do you have a lot of competitors? Should you try to find a niche so you can get into the niche and do something that's something nobody's done before? Right? What does your audience need? What does your target market? What is it that they need and that you are really good at providing? Okay. And then finally, I go into partnerships. You don't have to do this alone. You can form partnerships. Find somebody who's interested in the same space, and you all figure out how you can collaborate to create what it is that you want to create. Whether it's a business, whether you write a book, create a movie, write a script, whatever it is, figure out how you can partner with somebody else to go on that journey with you. Okay. Obviously, you need to collaborate. You need to be able to work as a team. You need to have shared goals, and you need to be accountable. If you say you're going to do something, do it. If somebody else says they're going to do something, do that, because that's how you get to your goal. Okay. I'm going to move forward here. That's from a leadership perspective, from a high to a low level, right? This slide right here was talking about types of innovation, right? So I'll go through this kind of quick, but types of innovation. You have incremental innovation. So think about incremental innovation, meaning a innovation that happens to something that's already exists. So if I have a phone, if I add a feature to that phone, that's incremental innovation, right? Think of radical innovation. Think about when the phones were first created by Thomas Edison back in the 1800s. That was a radical innovation because nobody had ever seen it before. It was a new and unique idea. Your idea, is it incremental? Are you trying to improve on what's already here? Or are you trying to do a new and unique innovation that has never been done before, right? What I want to share with you, if you go down to the slide right here where it says open innovation, closed innovation is what you're already used to. Companies, they'll create ideas, concepts, but they won't share them with anybody, right? That's closed innovation. Open innovation is innovation where I have something, you need it, I'm not using it. So how about I sell my intellectual property to you so you can use it, and you pay me royalties, or you just pay me outright to use it and I'll allow you to use it, right? Or let's just say you have something that I need and I say, hey, I want to pay you for the intellectual property or that idea because it'll help me with my product. So that's called open innovation. It's the basically inflow and outflow flow of information. I give you ideas, you give me ideas, we use it to create more value for customers. That's what open and closed innovation is. I would submit that open innovation is the way to go. If you're familiar with software, open software, Linux, That's how Linux came about. It was an open source, open software sort of platform. A bunch of creators came in and they're sharing ideas. You think about Wikipedia, same way, right? Millions of people contribute to that, right? So that's sort of a open innovation platform. That's one way. I was talking about partnerships. If somebody has a technology that you need, right, talk to that person. Maybe they'll share that technology with you, right? And you can get your project off the ground. And then maybe you can share that technology with somebody else and help them get their technology off the ground. Okay. You see that graphic right there, right? So just understand that to mean that in the organizational context, you need motivation, resources, and management practice to foster your innovation. And then you see where it says working environment impacts individual creativity down at the bottom, right? So individual motivation, individual experience, individual creativity, thought that helps me be creative. And then it feeds company innovation. So it becomes sort of like a circle, right? That's what you want to do. Okay, here's what I want to get to. Here's what I want to get to. So here's my workshop, so to speak. 3 workshops, guys. I'm gonna go through these quickly. Hopefully I have about 5 minutes left. These are called SOS, Situation Objective Strategy. This is what you use as a leader to put structure around a situation. The 100 idea method is used to create ideas. And then finally, the horizon method is used by Google to map their innovation strategy out forward. So let's hit the first one first. I'll do this quickly. So in SOS, what I use this for, anytime I want to get a structure or understand the situation, I'll do SOS. So first I'll say, what is the current situation? So I'll write a paragraph. Okay, here's the situation. And then I'll say, what are my objectives? What do I want to accomplish? I'll write that down. And then under strategies, I'll identify as many strategies that I can to accomplish that objective that I just wrote. So again, situation, what is the current situation? Objectives, what are your objectives? What are you trying to accomplish? What goal are you seeking? And then finally, strategies, you're saying, in order for me to accomplish this objective or a goal, I need to do this. I need to do this first. I need to do this second. I need to do this third, right? So that's my SOS tool, right? Help you put structure around a situation. If you want to start a business, you want to start a business in media, put that in your situation. Your objective is to start a business filming, let's say filming events, right? And then under your strategies, first strategy may be to purchase you a camera. Second strategy may be to understand what the market space looks like, right? So you do that until basically that becomes your initial plan, right? That's how you do that. Just thinking, putting structure around a situation, around a plan. So that's the first idea I'll give you. Second idea is called the 100 ideas process. So let's say you have a problem, or let's say you have a question or idea. What you want to do is turn that issue into a question. So I gave you an example. How can I increase the number of monthly visitors to my leadership website, right? So that's my question. So what I would do, and this is hard, guys, I'm telling you it's challenging. I'm just telling you right now. Write 100 answers or 100 ideas to that question. So my question is, how can I increase the number of monthly visitors to my leadership website? The first idea, I said, write articles on our leadership every week and post on my website. Second idea, hire a social media marketer. Third idea, understand web analytics on my website. Excuse me. So in order to complete this, you have to do 97 more ideas. But here's the value. Once you get down to 40, 50, 60 ideas, because I've done this many times, you start getting some really quality ideas and things you actually can pursue. So I really ask you to follow this idea, but use this 100 idea methodology. It was created by a guy named Brian Tracy, but it works every time. Question, problem, idea, form it into a question, and then write 100 answers to that question. Powerful. Guys, I'm telling you, it's hard. I'm not going to tell you it's easy. It's hard, but it'll help you out big time. Okay, last one. Now, this was created by, this is called the Horizons Method. It's created by Google and used by a Boston consultant group. Now, what it does is, and this can be used at organizational level, government level, strategic, or down to individual level. So what they do, they break their innovation strategy down into 3 horizons. Horizon 1 are for those current innovation projects that they're currently working on. They put 70% of their resources into those current projects and initiatives, right? Now that's probably about 1 to 3 years. And then in Horizon 2, those are 3 to 10 years, right? They put 20% of their resources toward innovation projects or initiatives. And then Horizon 3, those are the projects that are 10 years out, right? Those are the long shot, emerging technologies, things they see in the future. They put 10% of their resources on those ideas, right? And you see that it's 100% of their resources. Well, you can use this as a small company as well. What do you want to work on now? Where you want to put most of your effort in now? Put that in Horizon 1. What do you see yourself working on in the next 3 to 5 years? Put that in Horizon 2. And then if you see a long-term goal, 5, 10 years out, put that in Horizon 3. And what it does, it helps you be more efficient with your resources and where you put your attention at, because you can't focus on everything. So you got to choose the thing that you can focus on, get really good at that, but also be looking at the other things down the road as you go forward, right? Okay. All right. Now, so 3 great ideas, guys. This is a workshop, so I want to make sure I gave you something that you can actually use. But here's my concluding marks, guys. First of all, thank you for having me. I hope you receive some value out of this workshop. Just to conclude, I would say, leadership is crucial in leading media organizations, entertainment organizations in the future. Creativity feeds innovation within organizations, and not just media entertainment, but all organizations. So you got to work on becoming better at media, creativity. Finally, I hear some beeping there. Okay. Finally, organizations must continue to innovate how they capture and retain the attention of customers. We talked about copyright and intellectual property. And finally, make sure you focus on infrastructure to give people opportunity to do what they need to do successfully. So again, thank you very much. I appreciate your time, and I hope you receive some value from this pitch on leadership and innovation in media. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And we'll be taking questions. We'll just have to take 2 questions, quick ones.
Okay.
Any question for Dr. Bennett from this presentation? Anyone with a question? If you have, please identify by raising your hands. Okay. We want to say a big thank you for this wonderful presentation on leadership and innovation and leadership practice. Okay. Details lecture resources. I thought something that really not just space, but strategy. We appreciate it by slides that business presentation. Thank you so much. Okay, another question. We have the slides. Okay, the slides will be shared. Thank you so much for all of this. In the presentation, I want to ask, in a personal development or innovation, how much do you spend on personal investment on the development to bring out all your amazing innovative ideas and the books and all the other content that you have there? Thank you. Mr. Bennett, were you able to get to the question?
I was not. There's a lot of feedback, so I couldn't hear. Right. Can you repeat it for me?
What I said is that you have to have an idea of the quantum of resources that helps you to be able to push out so many work. Can you give us a rough estimate of the of maybe money or resources generally, just uh, a rough estimate of that as a percentage of your earning that you invest in personal development in innovative ideas? Thank you.
How about this? How about can somebody put the question in the chat?
Okay.
Because it's coming in and out, so I can't catch the question.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Oh yes, I hear you now. Go ahead.
Okay, the question goes this way. How much money or how much do you invest into yourself for personal development so that you can bring out those innovative ideas and resources that lie within you?
Was the question how much money or resources to invest in personnel to bring ideas?
Yes, how much money, how much of your personal earnings?
Okay. Yep. So great question. It depends on what it is that you're trying to do, right? So when on the creative projects that I do, I tend to, especially when I'm doing them for myself or for my company, I tend to keep the cost small on the front end, because I know on the back end the marketing, the social media, all that. But as far as from the creative aspect, it's really low cost because it's all within me, right? So that's one of the things I recommend to small businesses is to start small, right? Do as much as you can from your own efforts of your partners, because you're going to need that money for other things, whether you're talking about pay, you're talking about, getting facilities or buying equipment. So for whatever you can do yourself, that's really the key. So it really just depends on the product. For example, if I'm writing a book, then, I have all the equipment already. So writing a book or writing an article or doing a social media strategy, that's very, very low cost. Now, if I have to go back, bring on a consultant or something, obviously, that depends on whatever they charge me. Did that answer the question, over?
It does, and it answers the question.
Okay.
One more question, sir. Just one more question.
Okay.
Thank you very much for the lecture. Please, I don't think I can recommend. You are talking about the institutions and the media. We are generally sometimes rush the information about the approach to the perspectives. But we have a generation that is, I call that microwave generation. They want news and drinking. Trying to implement innovative ways. Professional journalists can ascertain use as a breaking to be sure that we're not putting out, we're not misinforming people. I don't know, maybe based on where you are, things that people use, the media use to, I don't think
that's checking platform.
That's not possible because we go, because most of the platform take a bit of time to get the perspective, or you need to do a lot of things that take a bit of time to get the right information. Just a bit of information.
Can you repeat the question, please? Because it came kind of broken. I couldn't really get it.
The question goes this way. What fact-checking platforms can journalists use? Fact-checking platforms can journalists use to confirm information that they've received, so that they are sure they're not putting out misinformation into the public space? Just to guide them, because a lot of time they receive information that they need to verify before they put out in the public space. So what platforms do you know of? Maybe in the US or just to the general public that can be used to verify information?
Yes. So there are a number of platforms. One, factchecker.org is one. Factchecker.org, that's one. And then there's a organization called HARO. It's hire a reporter. And what they do with what the media does with those individuals that sign up for that website, they hire somebody with a relevant subject matter expertise, and they are able to check what they're being told, right? So factchecker.org, as well as I think it's HARO, either .com or .org. And Dr. Tam George, if you remember, I think I see you in the back there. Do you remember when we were at Harvard? There was there was one other resource. I'm gonna have to send that to you. But if you remember offhand, you can tell the folks in the room. It's where they had us go to where checking on media stories. I can't remember it right now. You remember what that was offhand? Yeah. Let me see here.
Good to see you. I'm going to share a friend's website.
Yeah, you remember the one I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
So I'm going to share
Okay.
but there's still the old way of verifying your sources rather than rushing to the course with news. Because what I heard you say, which is absolutely correct, is that it's not so much the timing. The timing is important. I mean, it's fast-paced technological age. Everybody wants to be the best. But in the final analysis, what matters to the quality, the correctness of the information, rather than just the speed. What you communicate news. Because I mean, of what news is it communicating news that is software fake? So the old fashioned of confirming information from the authentic sources, double checking your sources, it's very important before you run to the press. So the online resources are share with them, but the old fashioned way of confirming sources, double checking your facts before you publish results get to the press. Now there's a point you made from which I agree with absolutely. I just want to emphasize it. But I said in today's media landscape, there is a greater believable discovery. It's now placed, on the show that is everybody today can be used as like all you need is just a smartphone and you can be at the center or the theater of war, or you can be at the event. This isn't just content. This is content. So the point Madam was making is that it's not these days when you are the days when people are professional journalists and have the sense of responsibility. Those days are gone now. Every person who has access to smartphone has this consciousness. It could be that it's about to crash, or it could be the train station where the people are having difficulties, getting on board, or it could be in the new restaurant that say just you cuisine. So anybody who has a smartphone has the potential. But the point people are not making, which I agree with, is that you must be sure, and I think I emphasize the mind situation. You must be sure of the quality of the news you're putting out, not just the speed of it. So that because the more fake news you put out, the data, the intent user is going to be eroded. And the next side audience are going to have, because audiences don't want to be deceived. They want to get information, they want to correct outline. So you are very smart guy for content. Now for content, let me just emphasize this for content. But Ron was not speaking in context of local content. He knows that the people who are gathered there are media practitioners, some of them are professional journalists, reporters, but he also recognizes that some of you are also media entrepreneurs. Okay, so he's not concerned that it's not talking about local content, but what he is concerned about is that this is local content event that is helping to build the media capacity
of media practitioners. So he's saying that look, there are a lot of things you can learn in terms of making sure that you take advantage of the kind of innovation that are happening in the media landscape. He's saying that even if you are based in finance, through the agency of technology, you can reach audiences around the world. So those days when you get reached by Nigeria, those days are no problem. That's why when he was talking about technology, he said you can use technology agency to reach a wider, more geographically dispersed audience. Because even if you're space about we have cases of rising sea levels because of our region here. And so these are issues of interest to people in the region. So the point here for media practitioners is rather than follow everyone and be reporting the news breaking in among politicians, how can we tap into the new consciousness around climate change and say, look, this is a niche that we are creating. And that's what this game is doing. To create a platform where you can bring people like Valon to talk to you about you can innovate, even if you remain in your community. That's the great exactly trying to do. I don't have to make an answer. So the other point that Manon was talking about, because he's an expert. Yeah, he's an expert in innovation and strategy. That also began the PhD now. So what he was saying in the sense, is that look, how can you better media authorities, even without kissing, without leaving the picture? You can have a person reporting top quality fashion reporting about that fashion business here in the Niger Delta. Can actually report it in such a professionally excellent manner. You can get partnership with major brands in France and the US without giving financial investment. All it means is understanding what he's saying concerning identifying a niche. I'm not running with everyone. I want to identify a niche and be an expert so that you now cater or generate content for that particular budget. So Vernon was not talking about local content. All he's saying is local content agencies creating this type of platform to build the capacity of media practitioners so that you can see how best you can master strategy in terms of improving your business reporting for those of you who are professional journalists. But then also for those who are journalists now, down the road you might find a need for that. And when you read that, you still have ideas, you can be a media entrepreneur and then see how can I find a niche and be a reporter. Give her a friend with that. She used to be a reporter with the Guardian, won so many awards. But today, she has won it. She's wearing a different path. She's now a media entrepreneur. Okay. Now, how can we identify a niche and not run all the time with what is dominating? So he's thinking that it's a matter of strategy. It's a matter of embracing innovation. It's a matter of knowing what content you can generate and how can make this content relevant to the particular. The audience we have here using social media platforms is over 8 billion people. It's too wide for any person to reach. You can't reach people in China discussing things, but you can say, look, this is my interest. Climate reporting, fashion reporting, community development reporting, local content reporting, if you are reporting local content exclusive. But say, what is SDMB here doing differently from what they're doing in Brazil, what they're doing in Iraq, what they're doing elsewhere? You can do that kind of reporting and you'll be surprised the interest that you generate out of the work because the one who reported in terms of comparative analysis. So why don't we keep up this newspaper? There's no newspaper in the that focuses on it. The bottom line is my niche, whether you're a reporter or you are a media entrepreneur, so that you can excel. And he suggested embrace innovation because you said a lot of these things already. Identify the channel without innovation and then know how to push your content. Social media is fantastic threat, to conventional media. But the conventional media, legacy media is also doing something right. Let me just check this in for you. There's something in media practice that is called media convergence. What media convergence means is a creative way in which the legacy media is beginning to, recreate itself. So if you're, for instance, if you are reading the Guardian newspaper of home, which used to hold what they are saying is since everybody is now moving towards the zone of technology, let us also have a soft pressure. I see the hard copy myself. So what does that mean? Technology is the agency that has brought the legacy media to a digital character. So that wherever you are, so social media, yes, compared to conventional media, but only to the extent to which conventional media does not embrace innovation. If you embrace innovation, which is what Banana suggests, it means that social media will actually be integrated as part of the strategy for circulation and content. That's where convergence comes. Everybody converge online to make sure they fight for the audience that we are about. Okay. So I have to thank you, Venom, for coming. I look forward to catching up with you. This is a brilliant guy. It's so good to see you, Venom. I'm sure there'll be more events where we'll have some time to talk.
Yes, this was fun. I appreciate it. I tell you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So hey, have a great conference. Appreciate you guys.